Hey everyone, this is Patrick from Cedrus, and today just going to go over the wind mast and what makes this mast special, and I guess more specifically who it's for. Um, it's in the name, right? Initially, it was designed specifically for the people using this for wind applications, primarily because that's who's going to generate the most speed. Um, so like the wingers, the kiters especially. The reason why it's named the wind is, and why it's good for those high speed applications, is because of this extra chord section that you see here. You know, we kind of call it the tail fin. What that does is it extends the chord length through this midsection here. And, you know, just through our testing, this region is where we found most people are riding, you know, in terms of when they're up and cruising. It's typically in this range, right? If you're much higher than that, you're going to be crashing probably most of the time anyways. So we put the extra chord section here, and what that does is it extends the mast, the chord section, which then reduces and in pretty much in real life practice eliminates the prevalence of ventilation. And if you haven't experienced ventilation, you're probably not going super fast or turning while going, you know, moderately fast. What happens is as your mast starts to turn through the water, you know, it loads up on the outside, but then the inside creates this void. It creates like a separation of the water. I'm sure people that are much smarter than me can explain it more technically, but essentially what happens is the mast will slip through a turn. And that can cause, you know, the whole foil to feel like it's spinning out you, like you're flying out of control. So we put this on here to reduce that. And like I said, in real life use, it has eliminated the ventilation. I don't think we've had anybody complain about venting with the wind mast. So that's what it's for. And who it's for, like I said, is for the wind users. But honestly, a lot of the people that are finding huge benefits of this mast are like the tow guys. They're going excessively fast as well. And when you're racing down a big wave, and if you're trying to bottom turn off a big wave or even carve down on a big wave, you don't want your mast to feel like you're sliding, like you're gonna lose it. Another discipline that's finding really good use for this mast is the downwind community. And that's because when you're downwinding, you're not necessarily going excessively fast. You know, some guys are, obviously. Big waves, small foils, the racers, that kind of stuff. Those guys are going pretty fast. But, you know, on an average downwind run, I don't know, probably going 15 to 19 miles per hour. But when I'm trying to carve and kick out of a wave or make a last minute adjustment, this added section here really helps provide stability through those, you know, I guess turbulent areas of the wave. You know, if there's backwash, if there's cross chop, if there's, you know, if you're going over a wave, right, and you're hitting like a whitewash section, all of this extra chord really helps smooth that out. I feel a huge difference from going from, you know, our surf mast to our wind mast, but you know, even going from any brand mast to this wind mast, it feels so much smoother. Also, with the added chord here, everybody will appreciate a little bit of added stiffness from our surf mast to the wind mast. Our surf mast is phenomenally stiff. When I'm using a bigger wing for downwinding, it's really nice to have increased, especially torsional stiffness from this mast just because of the added chord section. It does make quite a bit of difference. You will feel it. And when you start using those, you know, super high aspect wings that are in the bigger ranges, you know, 1100, 1300 plus, added torsional stiffness really makes a big difference. The one fear that I hear expressed by a lot of people who are considering the wind mast is, well, what about added drag? There is a little bit of extra chord, but it's not anything. I wouldn't really say I feel much drag from even our surf mast, which is extremely short chord, to the wind mast, which compared to most brand masts is actually still a shorter chord. And then given how our thin profile here, you know, these are made by hand, so it's not necessarily the exact same thing every time, but between like 15.7 and 16 millimeters thick, it's still a very thin mast, but all in all, in terms of total surface area, our mast is still significantly smaller than most other masts out there. Another fear that I hear expressed to me is, oh, well, it's got such a long cord that it's not going to turn well. And I'll tell you, this thing still turns plenty tight. I use it all the time for prone surf still, and it turns in a pocket tighter than you can. Tighter than most foilers, right? It's still very high performance in the surf. It's going to allow you to snap in the lip. It's going to allow you to, pull in real tight on the bottom turn to get back up the face. You don't have to worry about that. Most people are looking for the one mast to do everything. I recommend the Wind, actually. If you're only a prone surf guy, go with the surf mast. But if you're doing anything more than just prone, if you're towing, if you're winging, if you're downwinding, along with prone, the Wind Mast is probably the one and done for you, which is why we extended the range to the 77.5 length as well, because we realized that we wanted to make a shorter version for more people to use. Again, it is still shorter cord than most production masts out there from all of your brands. Just because you're used to seeing the Evolution Surf that is so short cord, exceptionally short, this is still not really long. It's just longer than the Surf, right? But it won't impact your surf. It will not hold you back. I would challenge you to become better than this mast is. I'm still not there yet, and I'm pushing it. So that's my breakdown on the Cedrus Evolution Wind. I think it's the one and done perfect mast for most people out there, and I hope you give it a shot. Cedrus, ride everything better.